It was just a regular school day, nothing out of the ordinary. But something felt off when I saw Mr. Johnson, our usually serious teacher, smiling like it was the best day of his life. He stopped me and we had a nice chat, which was weird because he never really talked to us like that before. He asked about my plans for college, gave me some advice. It was really nice, but strange. When I got to class, Mr. Johnson still hadn't shown up, which was unusual because he's always on time. I told Nick about our chat, and he said the same thing had happened to him. Another girl in our class said Mr. Johnson had talked to her too, all friendly and cheerful. Just then, the principal came in with a sad face. He told us Mr. Johnson had passed away from a heart attack the night before. We were shocked. How could he be gone when we had just talked to him that morning? We told all of this to the principal. He even checked around the school, but there was no sign of Mr. Johnson. Later, we went to his funeral, still trying to understand what had happened. It was like something from a scary movie, and it left us all feeling uneasy. I live in a small town and work as a teacher at the local school. Among us, there was a fellow teacher who seemed to have a special interest for the basement room on the underground floor. He would disappear for hours on end, saying he goes there to focus on his work. We always accepted his explanation without question, and never suspected he could be doing something wrong there. But as time passed, strange occurrences began to surface. Students fell ill with alarming regularity. Their symptoms were specifically similar. And when they returned from their hospital stays, they were no longer the same. Their once bright spirits seemed darkened by mysterious causes. As rumors about our colleague spread, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. I watched him closely, noting his secretive comings and goings. One day, I spotted a student following him to the basement, which made me even more suspicious. Later that day, I tried to ask the student about it, but she denied ever seeing the other teacher. However, later that week, that same student disappeared. I knew I had to act. Determined to find the truth, I kept watch over the school at night. When I saw the teacher sneaking into the school in the middle of the night, I knew something was very wrong. I immediately contacted the authorities and shared all my suspicions. Together with law enforcement, we descended into the depths of the basement, shrouded in silence. What we found there was beyond comprehension. The teacher stood there, surrounded by crazy experiments, all out in the open. And there, in the middle of the chaos, lay the missing student, suspended in a liminal state between consciousness and oblivion. Justice prevailed that night as the teacher was apprehended, his dark deeds brought to light. As the truth emerged, our town began to heal, the shadows dissipating with each passing day. And the student who woke up from a coma found new strength, showing how people can stay strong during tough times. Back in my school days, I was quite the rebel. I'd skip classes, pull pranks on anyone and everyone, teachers included. One afternoon, feeling particularly rebellious, I decided to skip out on my last class. I slipped into the back of the school, into a bathroom that had seen better days. It was the kind of place nobody bothered with, a dumping ground for broken and forgotten furniture. There, I spotted an old couch. It looked like it had been banished from some teacher's lounge in a previous life. Perfect for a quick nap until the school day ended, and I could make a clean getaway. But time has a way of slipping through your fingers like sand, and when I woke up, the school was already deserted, cloaked in darkness. I stumbled out into the empty corridors. The silence was heavy around me, broken only by distant murmurs. Following the sound, I found myself outside a classroom, where two voices mingled in the shadows. Assuming it was just a pair of illicit lovers, I crept closer, curious to witness the forbidden romance. But the scene that greeted me wasn't a cozy scene of soft words of love. Instead, it was two worn-out figures, their eyes wide with wildness, barely visible in the darkness. My stomach clenched as I realized they were no teachers, but intruders, trespassers. Before I could sneak away, the woman's eyes locked onto mine, and she screamed while pointing at me. I was just about to apologize when I noticed the man pulling out a gun and firing in my direction. In that moment, fear crystallized in my chest like a shard of ice. I turned and fled, the sound of their shouts echoing behind me as I sprinted through the labyrinthine corridors, their footsteps hot on my heels. Desperation helped me speed as I raced upstairs, seeking refuge in the janitor's room. I huddled beneath a dusty plastic sheet, holding my breath as their voices grew closer. Their footsteps were echoing like drumbeats in the silence. Just when I thought I'd be caught, an alarm blared loudly, covering all other noise. The intruders cursed and ran off, leaving me alone in the darkness with my racing thoughts. Relief washed over me as I heard the police approaching, their footsteps loud on the floor. I came out of hiding, my heart racing, and told them the frightening encounter. In the end, the intruders were arrested. Their brief reign of terror was brought to an abrupt end. But the experience left its mark on me, a lingering shadow that altered the course of my life forever. Since then, I understood fear's real depth and the thin line between safety and danger in the dark. Once in school, I had this super weird thing happen to me. I was sitting in class, minding my own business, when suddenly, I felt like something strange was going down. It was like this creepy feeling creeping up my spine, making me shiver. Next thing I knew, I was sure I was being grabbed by some spooky, otherworldly force. I could feel its icy fingers wrapping around me, pulling me into darkness. It was so freaky, I thought I was being abducted by aliens or something. But here's the kicker, turns out, I wasn't being abducted at all. I passed out right there in class. When I finally came to, everyone was freaking out. The teachers said my eyes were totally white, like something out of a horror movie. By the time I woke up, the ambulance was already on its way. But here's where it gets even weirder. Even though it wasn't a real abduction, I swear I felt every bit of pain from that imaginary touch. It was like this ghostly figure left behind this trail of agony, and I could taste the metallic tang of blood in my mouth. It was hands down the craziest thing that ever happened to me. Ever since I first stepped foot into my high school, whispers of the secret tunnel beneath the school had intrigued me. They say it was used by smugglers in the 19th century, a dark labyrinth hidden beneath the very foundations of our learning institution. But it wasn't until my senior year that I decided to investigate. The rumors painted a picture of danger and mystery, warning of the tunnel's cursed history and the tragic fate of those who dared to venture inside. They spoke of students who had disappeared without a trace, swallowed by the darkness that lurked below. One rainy afternoon, fueled by equal parts curiosity and foolishness, I set out to uncover the truth. With a flashlight in hand and a knot of apprehension in my stomach, I descended into the bowels of the school, navigating the labyrinthine corridors of the basement until I found myself standing before a nondescript door, hidden behind a stack of forgotten boxes. With trembling hands, I pushed open the door and stepped into the unknown. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and decay, and the sound of my footsteps echoed eerily against the stone walls. As I ventured deeper into the tunnel, the darkness seemed to envelop me, pressing in from all sides like a suffocating embrace. And then, as quickly as it had appeared, it was gone. Vanished into the darkness like a wisp of smoke on the wind, leaving me alone in the silence of the tunnel. I fled then, heedless of the dangers that lurked in the shadows, consumed by a primal fear unlike anything I had ever known. And though I emerged from the tunnel unscathed, something had changed within me. A seed of doubt planted deep in my mind, a nagging suspicion that some secrets are best left buried in the darkness where they belong. But still, the whispers persist, echoing through the halls of the school like a ghostly refrain, a reminder of the darkness that lurks just beneath the surface, waiting to be discovered by those foolish enough to seek it out.